Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandvat Pranam, all glory to Srila Prabhupada. This is Neetu from Bhagavata.
Hare Krishna Mataji, your voice is breaking.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandvat Pranam, all glory to Srila Prabhupada. This is Neetu from Bhagavata.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Gauranga and all the assembled devotees. Yashamati from Chicago.
Hare Krishna Yashamati Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandvat Pranams, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharajas and all the assembled Vaishnavas. This is Kirtidas Sundari.
Hare Krishna Kirtidas Sundari Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Anita Mataji, Dandvat Pranam to you and all Vaishnavas. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Vrinda.
Hare Krishna Vrinda Gopika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining the call. Hare Krishna. Is there anyone else who would like to introduce themselves? We have one more minute.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Sudevi.
Hare Krishna Sudevi, thank you so much for joining the call. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Anyone else who would like to introduce themselves?
Dandvat Pranam Mataji, this is Radharani Devi Dasi from Michigan, USA. Please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna Radharani Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining the call. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna dear devotees, I would like to welcome once again to this Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. So we will be moving on to our next session, that is Caitanya Bhagavata, which will be given by His Grace Haridas Varya Prabhuji. So before moving on to the call, I would like to read Prabhupada's quote of today. Today is 9th August, letter to Amogha, August 9, 1972. Prabhupada has written, Krishna takes special appreciation for his devotees who are engaged in risking for his preaching work, and he will give you special care and guidance at all times because you are sincerely trying to serve him in this way. Hare Krishna, very nice quote. Hare Bol. So we will be moving on to the next session. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please like to welcome you to the call. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So today's verse from Sri Caitanya Bhagavat is from Madhya Kanta 2.194 to 199. Hare Krishna. Over to you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Anita Ramya Mataji. I wish all the assembled devotees a very happy Purushottam Mas. Very fortunate to get an opportunity to speak amongst you on the glories of the Lord, especially our most beloved Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I thank everyone in Bhakti Sangha Japa group for giving me an opportunity. Especially would like to thank Her Grace Preeti Vilasini Mataji, who is constantly trying and giving me service one after the other. Eternally indebted, Mataji. Thank you very, very much. So before I start, I would like to take the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, all my senior devotees who are assembled here, and the Acharyas and the Parampara, and of course our beloved lordships, so that my words can be inspiring, at the same time can do justice to the millions of lines of purports that our previous Acharyas and our predecessors have written on this subject matter. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Zavadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saganalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gauravakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatkapatmaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Namo Sachidananda Rupaya Namo Alakshita Karine Namo Vedanta Vedyaya Guruve Buddha Sakshine. So I pray to the Divine Lordships to give me the sufficient intelligence and the words to glorify about Him in the texts 192 to 199 of Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Kanda, chapter number 2. So let's look at the verse for today. Text 192. Sabe bale amarasa bara bara punya tumi hai na sanga sabe hailana dhanya. Sabe bhale, they all said. Amara sabara bada punya, we all are indeed very much blessed. Tumi hena sange, why are they blessed? Hena sange, you have made us fortunate. Hailana dhanya, you have made us fortunate. Why? Hena sange, with your association. So all the devotees here are mentioning about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, about how indeed they are blessed because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving them association. We have always learned from our first day of Krishna consciousness that how association is one of the most important stepping stone, or it's a most important element in growing in devotional service. Association makes or breaks a devotee. So here we see that all the devotees are saying we are very blessed because the Lord Himself, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Himself, is giving us association. So this is very wonderful for us, and we should churn a little bit on this part of the association. We see that Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi Hoy. So we say that 1/4 of a second, even if somebody associates with a pure devotee, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. So it is not that it is an instant mechanism of 1/4 second of association will give to instant bhakti. No, the 1/4 association, 1/4 of a second of association, lava matra, how much ever is that quantification, such a minute scale of association with a pure devotee gives us an opportunity to associate with more devotees. And then one becomes many, and many lovers become many seconds, and many seconds become many minutes, and many minutes become many hours become many years, and many years become many lifetimes, and finally we go back home, back to Godhead. So if we actually see, it is the Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha which was the spark or the initial fire which led us back home, back to Godhead. Sometimes it is very merciful that Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha is also enough to take a person back home, back to Godhead. There is no fixed formula of how much association in terms of minutes, time, year is or lifetimes are necessary. But every connection with a pure devotee is definitely very, very blissful. At the same time, we should consider ourselves very blessed if we get an association of a devotee. Often in the ISKCON circles, we mention that we are very blessed to have you, Prabhu. We are very blessed to have you, Mataji. We say this very often amongst the community members, whoever they are with us. In fact, sometimes we do it as a routine to understand who is on the call, who is not on the call. And we say, as a routine, we are very happy that you are on the call. But every time we say that, it is our responsibility to wait for a second and enjoy the association of fellow devotees. This pausing and reflecting and feeling that we are really indeed blessed to spend our time amongst those individuals or those spirit souls who are looking for the same purpose as us. We are all aiming for Krishna consciousness. We are all looking at the supreme destination, and we are all eager to serve Krishna. So when we get somebody who is having the same ideology, somebody who wants to achieve the same goal, we should consider ourselves blessed. Why? Because we can see in others who are going towards Krishna, we can see what we lack. And looking from them, we can get inspired. Somebody who is going towards Krishna and his or her chanting is not nice or can improve even better, what they can do is that when they observe others who are chanting very well, they will feel more inspired. Similarly, are for services. So it is this association of devotees which is bringing us closer. It is the association of devotees which is attracting Krishna's mercy. And Krishna is always seeing not how we serve him, but how we serve other devotees. In fact, there is a very famous example of Ramanujacharya and his disciple Dasharathi. Dasharathi was such a great disciple of Sri Ramanujacharya. He was a Pandita. He knew all the conclusions of the Shastra. And he was excellent in debate, Nyaya, Tarka, etc. Anybody who discusses Shastra with Dasharathi, he would immediately refute the logic and establish the Sri Vaishnava logic of Vishishta Dvaita. He was one of the most qualified and topmost disciple of Sri Ramanujacharya. Still one day, when Ramanujacharya was sitting, a lady came to Ramanujacharya and she said, her mother-in-law is demanding quite a lot, and due to which she is facing a lot of strain in her husband's house, and it is getting very difficult. So when Ramanujacharya inquired what is the real reason, then the mother-in-law said that you have not brought any household helpers to help the daily chores of this house. So it was an earlier custom that along with wealth, along with many others, many other loving exchanges, sometimes some helpers are also sent so that the new house is very well equipped, maids and servants are there. Due to financial constraints, this lady was not able to extend, this girl's father was not able to extend personal maid servants to help in the mother-in-law's house. Ramanujacharya, when he heard this, he immediately told Dasharati that you have to go right now to her house and work as a maid servant. Now just imagine the greatest disciple of Sri Ramanujacharya, who can be consulted with any Vedic Shastras, anything that we could think of and could give us clear explanations about the Shastra, Dasharati immediately obliged to become a personal servant. And the lady never knew who Dasharati really was. And she went and introduced Dasharati to the mother-in-law. And the mother-in-law gave a lot of menial services to Dasharati. And Dasharati performed those menial services without even having a tinge of ego. And it is mentioned in the Shastras that he was able to do this because he was constantly associating with his Guru Maharaj and fellow disciples and his fellow God brothers. Because of his constant association with his spiritual master and God brothers who are also having the same goal as Dasharati, his ego was slowly getting diminished, and he was becoming more and more humble and a simple servant of the Lord. So Dasharati was cleaning clothes, Dasharati was washing vessels, Dasharati was sweeping the floor, he would collect the wood for the firewood, he would clean the house, he will follow the orders of the mother-in-law, the husband and the lady of the house. He would ensure that all the dirty linens are washed and dried. All the menial work that is possible, Dasharati would do. And the lady was very happy that there is one helper who is keeping all the complaints at bay. However, one time it did happen in this way that in that very household, there was a satsang. There was a congregation of devotees. And there were some questions asked by the speaker of that congregation about certain philosophical aspects. And nobody was able to give an answer to those questions. At that time, Dasharati could not hold himself back, and he spoke in that audience clear Vaishnavite principles. And everybody was stunned that how could a maid servant be answer so well? And the secret was no longer kept hidden. The secret was no longer kept hidden that he was Dasharati. People cried their eyes out. They said, Dasharati, you could have said once, but you were executing such menial services. But Dasharati had only one word to say. He said, I am indeed very blessed that my spiritual master considered me for this menial service. And I am capable of doing this menial service because of my association with devotees. So this is the power of association. It kills the ego within the heart. It makes us inspire of one another. Only if we have the right eyes of attitude. If we meet other devotees with the eye of jealousy or enviousness, the association is not going to fructify our devotion. The classic example is Karna. Karna is an example of wrong association. He associated with Duryodhan and he became ill in his intentions. That even when Dharma was spoken to him by Lord Sri Krishna himself, calling him out and asking him to join the forces of the Pandavas, and because he is a Kaunteya and not a Sutaputra, he still denied. He thought that the worldly morality of friendship is greater than upholding the very dharma that one is supposed to follow. So he said, how can I betray my friendship and association of Duryodhan. Whereas the dharma was to break that very association and move away from wicked people. So we should choose our association wisely. And when I say the word wisely, we should apply very, very clearly our intelligence in association. And the classic example of that intelligence being applied in association can be seen in Ramayana as well. When the minister Vibhishana was giving good counsel to Lanka Dipati, who is none other than Lankesh, who is none other than Ravana, the 10-headed demon, he was giving good counsel that please return Sita back. This is not good. This is actually lust which has come upon you. And you should return a parastri, a lady who is not your wife. You cannot acquire her by false means. This is not right. Please give her back. But Lankesh, Ravana never heard this plea. He said, I will banish you out of my kingdom. You are a traitor. You are not taking my side. And Vibhishana thought that there is no point living in this place. And I have to leave this place immediately. So though he was from the opposite enemy side, he still thought that associating with my wicked brother, who is my own blood, but he is wicked, I should leave this person. And I should walk the path of truth. And he crossed over to the other side. But it is not that glorious to speak about Vibhishan. What is more glorious is to speak about the 4 ministers who went along with Vibhishan. What is so glorious about them? When Vibhishan made the travel from Lanka to Adi Setu Karai near Rameshwaram, he came by the Vayu Marga, came from the airways, and he was standing at the shore of Rameshwaram. And he was standing there waiting for instructions. He was folding his hands, and along with him were 4 other ministers who came from Lanka. Just like the modern political battles, when one political leader moves from one party to another party, generally there are some people who go along with him. Just like that, when Vibhishan went from Lanka party to Rama's party, 4 ministers went along with him. And when Vibhishan paid his obeisances to Lord Ramachandra and requested Lord Ramachandra, not directly, but sent a petition through Sugriva. And Sugriva said, you stand right here. And he put his guards. He said, if you step your foot down, even if you try to get down and put your foot on the sands of Rameshwaram, your heads will be chopped off. So we have not given you permission. You are behind the firewall. You have to stand behind there. You cannot enter inside. So Vibhishana, with his hands in the supplication mode, as a namaste, he was standing there begging, pleading, please send a message to the ocean of mercy, who is none other than Lord Ramchandra. Sugriva goes inside. He says, this is the plight. And there is a big debate and a group discussion which is going to happen. Sugriva says he's from the enemy's side and he looks like a spy. We should not accept him. Jambavan says, I am very old. I do not know. I passed. I think we should not accept. Angada says we should conduct an examination. If he passes in the examination, we should accept him, like a common entrance test. We should ask him to write an examination. If he passes in the examination, we should accept him. Like this, each and every one has got his own opinion. And finally asks Hanuman, what do you say? He says, I look at his face. And when I went to Lanka, I only saw this man always chanting your name, associating with your name. And because of the association with your name, he is very resplendent. His face does not have any anxiety, and he is very sure of getting your obeisance, getting your blessings. So Lord Rama then said, Please listen. I will give him the surrender. He is come to surrender here unto me, and I will give him the shelter. So this Lord Ramchandra emphatically declared in his Ramacharma Shloka. So all this narration was being spoken by Ramanujacharya in a lecture. And Embar was sitting at the back. And when Lord Ramanujacharya was saying, Lord Ramchandra is so merciful that he accepted Vibhishan, Embar, his disciple Embar, woke up at the end of the assembly and he said, I am walking off. This is the biggest joke that I have ever heard. Ramanujacharya was taken aback. He said, what are you talking about? Lord Rama accepted Vibhishana. Embar said, what is the reason that I should be very, very much happy and glorifying Lord Ramchandra about this? He said he accepted a spy, not a spy, a person from the other end, the equal brother of Ravana. He accepted him as his ally. Isn't it a sign of compassion? Isn't it a sign of mercy? At that time, Embar mentioned a very beautiful thing. He said, if I have to come and pay obeisances unto the Lordship, he should accept me as it is. Why is a Jivatma put through trials and tribulations? First, questions are asked, why did you come? Second, opinions are asked from other people. Third, a group discussion is made. Then fourth, all the opinions are taken from one another and their opinions are given weightages. Then there is mulling over the matter. And finally, Lord Ramchandra gives the verdict. Is this how surrender has to happen? Have I have to go through all these processes one by one by one? What are my chances? It might be that I might fall across in any of these examinations and I might fail. So this is not a great mechanism of surrender, said Embar. So Ramanujacharya, he immediately understood that there is something cooking in Embar's mind. So this is not the characteristics of being a surrender. When he mentioned, Ramanujacharya said, do you know what our Lord said? What did Lord Ramchandra say? Embar asked the question, yes, Guru Maharaj, tell me, what did the Lord say? The Lord said, actually, I am supposed to go to him. Embar said, yes. Actually, the Lord is supposed to go to the Jivatma and rescue him. The Jivatma is not that capable. We saw that in the case of Gajendra and Indradyumna, the elephant. We saw Gajendra and the crocodile. When Gajendra was completely stuck for 1,000 years and when he was crying out for help, Lord came, Gajam, he came up to the place and became Gajendra Varada. So Sri Hari, he came and he sent his Sudarshan Chakra and cut the head of the crocodile. So the Lord came and accepted the surrender of Gajendra. So the Lord has to come from Vaikunta, but here opposite is happening. Vibhishana is coming, crossing the ocean. Generally, the Lord crosses crosses from Vaikunta and comes to the material ocean, picks the Jiva and takes him back to Vaikunta. Here, the Jiva is traveling over the ocean and coming to Lord and knocking at his door of Vaikunta like lotus feet and saying, I would like to surrender. So Ramanujacharya said, look, the Lord is supposed to do this, but he is doing. Embar is saying, this is not for the argument. This is also you are speaking for me. That is why I am saying there is no use of such a surrender. What is the use of such a surrender? When the Lord is not going and the Jivatma has to come. Then Ramanujacharya understood. Embar wants to make a point. So Ramanujacharya said, but Embar, can you comment about those 4 ministers? What effort did they make? Their surrender was also accepted by Lord Ramchandra. So Embar started almost dancing in ecstasy when he heard this statement. And Embar said, yes, this is what I wanted to hear from you, Ramanujacharya. And Ramanujacharya had a very slight smile on his face. He said, Embar, what do you want to imply? Embar said, The 4 ministers who came along with Vibhishan, their only qualification was they associated with a pure devotee like Vibhishana. And they got delivered. They didn't do any exercise. They were just associating, and they were taking the benefit of association, of being in the association of Vibhishan. And because of that association, they got blessed. And Embar was saying, in a similar way, if we are associating with you, Ramanujacharya, listening to your lectures, sitting in your class, then we are like the ministers, and you are like the Vibhishana who took surrender unto the Lord. And hence, we would really, really get benefited. So the glory is not associating with the Lord, the glory is associating with you, O Ramanujacharya. So Ramanujacharya smiled and he understood that this was the perfect Vyas Puja offering of Embar. So this is what the devotees are saying here. Sabe bhale amara sabara bada punya. Tumi hai na sange sabe hai lana danya. We are indeed blessed because you have made us fortunate with your association. And I have often said this before, that how should we consider that we are blessed? Even in the adversaries that we face in our life, if we are surrounded by devotees, if somebody passed away and we are keeping a memorial service, and in that service, it's all devotees who are coming and giving us solace, we should consider ourselves blessed. We might have lost someone who is very dear to us, but what we are getting is the association of Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, even in that distress moment. Arjuna was blessed by Krishna's equal wisdom because he was crying and he was despondent and he did not know what to do, but the association of the Lord took him out of that distress. By seeing his own people on the battlefield, he fell into the well of despair. But Krishna protected him by the sound of wisdom through Bhagavad Gita. In the text 121 to 128 of Bhagavad Gita, we see so many words of seeing. Nirikshe, Paksheham, Avakshe, Pashyati. These are the words used in Bhagavad Gita in the first chapter between the verses 21 to 28. Arjuna is saying, please show me. I want to see. I want to examine the crowd. I want to see who is on Duryodhana's side. I want to see, I want to see, I want to see, I want to see. He keeps saying. And when he sees, Krishna also says, the only one verse in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna just speaks 4 words. Behold the Kurus, Partha. These are the 4 words he says. Behold the Kurus, Partha. This all he says, 4 words, and he has a sarcastic smile. And when he sees, he falls into illusion. And it is the wisdom. So sometimes seeing is not believing. So associating means associating with wisdom. Associating means just not by seeing, by asking questions, getting clarifications. So hence from the 28th verse or 27th verse, Arjuna continuously starts asking questions. And in the 2nd chapter, he gets the association of the divine wisdom of Bhagavad Gita. So it is indeed a big, big blessing when we get the association of devotees. And seeing the devotees, associating them, giving our 2 ears gives us the highest benefit. So here the devotees are very extremely blessed because the Lord himself is giving the association. And hence they have made them, hence the Lord has made them the most fortunate. Ami hena sange sabe haila na danya. Tumi hena sange sabe haila na danya. So association is being completely glorified with a lot of gratitude in the heart. But what do we get out of this association? That they say in the next word. Tumi sange yara tara vaikunthe ki kare. Tileke to mara sange bhakti phala dhare. For one who associates with you, O Lord, what is the value of Vaikuntha? A single moment with you yields the fruit of devotion. So this is very nicely explained. The word Vaikuntha refers to the spiritual sky, which is saturated with opulence. The phrase Tara Vaikuntha ki kare indicates that for the person described in the first half of the verse, even Vaikuntha, which is full of opulence, is disagreeable or of less importance. The word Tilake means for a fraction of a moment, lava matra, like we said. Another reading of Tilake is Tilardha, which means the same. So here the devotees are saying that a little bit of time, for a fraction of moment, if we associate with you, O my Lord, we get bhakti phala dhare. We get the yield of the fruit of devotion. And what is the fruit of devotion? Krishna Prem. And that is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is distributing to each and every one. The fruit of devotion, the highest, the tallest fruit, the highest fruit in the tallest tree is being distributed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What is this tree? It is the Vedic knowledge. It's the Vedic scriptures. And the tallest fruit or the highest fruit is none other than the Krishna Prem. And that which we get, the pure devotion towards Krishna, that we get just by a tilake or a fraction of a moment by association. And when we compare that relishment of that fruit, they are saying, Vaikuntha ki kare. What will we do with opulence? Opulence can give us joy, but it cannot nourish the heart. Nourishment of the heart comes with love. And hence love is very important. And the best example is Mother Lakshmi. She is the goddess of fortune, but what she is engaged in is a menial service of pressing the lotus feet of the Lord constantly. It's one of the greatest services. And why is it greatest services? Because she's performing it out of love. Though the Lord has goddess of fortune as his wife, what did she ask for? Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati. He's asking for the most simplest of things. And why? With bhaktya, with love. So what is the role of opulence when we have love in the heart? Love is the real opulence. And the ability to love Krishna, the ability to understand how we can love Krishna, spontaneously love for Krishna, his devotees, his service, will take us towards the next level. So here the devotees understand the value of association. And here they say a fraction of a moment of association, it cannot be equivalent to even Vaikuntha if it is given to us. Because a single moment of associating with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives them the fruit of devotion, which is Krishna Prem. And they are saying, don't think Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that we can get this. Even to get this association and even to get the mercy, we are dependent upon you. Anupalya tomara amara sarva jana sabara nayaka hai karaha kirtana. We are all dependent on you. You may lead us in kirtan. This seems like a very simple statement, but this is a very, very great big tattva. When Srila Prabhupada writes in his books, absolute truth, Krishna is the absolute truth. We understand the word truth, Satyam Param Dhimahi, Satyam, truth. However, the importance has to be given to the word absolute. No other author writes it in this way. Everybody will write it as Krishna is truth, but it is Srila Prabhupada who writes it as Krishna is the supreme, absolute truth. So he has got two adjectives before it, supreme and absolute. We have to understand these two words very clearly. Absolute means that which is not relative. You cannot compare to something else. Just like right now it is night, in US it might be day. So how do we say day and night? We compare to night and we say it is day. Or we compare to day and we say it is night. That means we have a comparison. If two devotees are standing, we will say somebody is tall, somebody is short. So we have a comparative analysis to say, yes, I know what is tall, and based on tall, this devotee is short. And immediately when you find a devotee from the Balkan regions or from the Russian regions who are 6 feet, 7 feet tall, then our definition again changes because of the relative paradigm. When we say number system, 1, 2, 3, 4, how many hands do I have? 2. Is it absolute? No, it is again relative, because I know what is 3, I know what is 4, I know what is 5. So I'm saying it is not 3, not 4, not 5, it is 2. So the number system is relative. That's why we call relative numbers. The communication medium is relative. That means we are depending on something else, and hence we are stating what we want to say. So all the statements we say in this world are relative truths. It is dependent on something. It is residing on relative phenomenon of something. But Krishna is not like that. If we have to exist in this material world, we need Krishna. So we are dependent on Krishna's existence for our existence. But the reverse is not true. Krishna can exist and there needs to be no reason for it. He is Swarat, he is completely independent. This is the first verse of Bhagavatam. He is Swarat, he is independent. So all the Jivatmas are dependent upon the Lord. And that is what here they are saying. We are all dependent on you. You, oh my Lord, are not dependent on us. But Krishna acts in such a way that he needs his devotees for his existence. It is not true. Biologically, it is not true, but he acts. This is his mercy. And hence he associates with his pure Paramahamsa devotees. And here the Jivatmas are saying, we are dependent upon you, O Lord. So you lead us in Kirtan. You lead us. You are the leader. Because if you are not there, we cannot be existing in this world. We are dependent upon you. It is also to say, to understand you also, we are dependent upon you. It is also to say, to receive your mercy also, we are dependent upon you. Because your mercy is causeless in nature. We cannot say that if in Purushottam Mass I chant 64 rounds every day, I'm going back to Godhead. We cannot say this. This is not a precondition that we go back home, back to Godhead because we execute austerities. We become favorable for getting the causeless mercy of the Lord. Again, we become favorable candidates to receive mercy, but there is no rule applicable to Krishna that if we chant 64 rounds, we will get mercy. Because mercy is causeless. There is no cost to it. We can endeavor, but our endeavor is not getting the mercy. Our endeavor is making us the candidate. And when we become the candidate or a conduit to get the mercy, Krishna is merciful enough to shower us with his merciful glance. So hence to say, chanting 64 rounds, we get the mercy, it's a false statement. Chanting 64 rounds makes us more favorable candidates to get mercy. But why we get mercy, there is no logic to it. It is Krishna's causelessness. So hence we are dependent upon the Lord to show his causeless mercy. And hence, that causeless mercy can unravel itself when he leads us in kirtan. And why? Now they are giving reasons why we are dependent upon you. Pashandira vakye dagda sharira sakhala tomare preme jala karah shitala. They're saying we are dependent upon you because you have to get us out of this misery. What is the misery? The misery is that our bodies are burning with fiery words of atheists. The atheists use all logic, all examples to prove that the Lord does not exist. And when we are truly believing the Lord exists, hearing such a thing is making us burn, making us fall in distress, making us feel despondent, and making us feel very dry and dried in philosophy that how can an atheist say so? So they want to get relieved from such a dreadful situation. Enechi aushadi maya nasi baro lagi. Sei nama hari nama mantra lao tumi magi. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Enechi aushadi maya. Please bring us with this medicine. Nasi baro lagi. To get out of the lap of the witch called as Maya. And all the atheistic words, they put us in illusion that you don't exist. But we want to get out of this. You bring the medicine. Say nama hari nama mantra lao tumi magi. And how do we get out of that? We actually get out of that by chanting your holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. These are the cool waters which will extinguish the embers of fire which is burning our bodies, which are nothing but the fiery words of the atheists. And hence, shower us with the holy name. How do you shower? Because you are supposed to lead the kirtan. You lead the kirtan, O Lord, and you put this cooling droplets of water on these fiery words of atheists and glorify Lord Krishna's name. So when this water is poured from the top through holy name, what happens? What happens? There is water coming from somewhere else. Santoshe sabere prati kariya ashwasa chalilena matta simha praya nija vasa. So the Lord said, yes, okay, fine. I will do. And he solaced everyone and he returned to his house like a maddened lion. His walk was inspiring. He was maddened with love of Krishna and he walked back home. But did he really want to go home and take rest? What did he want to enjoy? Did he want to enjoy the household pleasures? The answer is no. Grihe aileo nahi vyabara prastava nirantara ananda avesha avirbhava. His life did not stop just by going back home. He did not enjoy in household pleasures. He was constantly enjoyed in transcendental bliss. This is what the Lord is showcasing to us when we participate in a kirtan with our heart, mind, and words. Sometimes we go to the program, enjoy the program, and when we come back, we are tired. But actually, it should be the other way around. We should be enlivened. We should be in transcendental bliss. And it will happen if we open our hearts, our ears, and we open our attitude to understand that programs, lectures, kirtans, bhajans, this is actually to nourish us. And here it is being mentioned that when we return home, we should not engage immediately in the activities of our household. We should be still thinking. We should be there in the after effects of the program that we attended. So the Lord is still thinking and he is completely enjoying the transcendental bliss. And he remained, so it is mentioned here, he did not welcome in the course of his family affairs any type of activities that were not related to Krishna. Anukulena Krishna Anushilanam. Anya Abhilashita Shunyam. And he was only doing those activities which are favorable to Krishna. And He was completely immersed. It is mentioned here, right? The conjugal pastimes not based on scriptures, but opposed to the conclusions that are concocted or composed in the fertile brains of illicit attached householders or newly arisen Gaura Nagaris between Gaur Sundara and Mahalakshmi Srimati Vishnu Priya, who is the personification of loving devotion, who is predominantly in Aishwarya Rasa and who is the married consort of the Lord, are clearly and vehemently refuted in this verse by Srimad Vrindavan Das Thakur, who is the incarnation of Vyasa. Never seen Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur write 4 lines without a full stop. Comma, 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 comma. He's writing very clearly. He's mentioning there are many people who say that the Lord engaged in household activities because it was Vishnu Priya. But here, Srimad Vrindavan Das Thakur, through this verse, is mentioning that though Mahalakshmi was in the predominantly in the Aishwarya Rasa and is of course the married consort of the Lord, he still he was not interested in the household affairs. He was constantly thinking and enjoying transcendental bliss. So the last 2 verses, what does he do? He says, Katava Ananda Dhara Vahe Shri Nayane Charanera Ganga Kiba Ailavadane. So the cooling nectarian water which was being showered on the fiery words of the atheists, which the devotees said, please cool us with the fresh rain and cool us, pour the water. Now those waters which are supposed to cool everybody are flowing from where? Flowing from the eyes of the Lord. The tears of love that flowed from his eyes were such that it appeared that the Ganges flows from his feet was now flowing from his eyes. Mother Ganges incessantly flows from the Lord's lotus feet. But he was so desperate to see the Lord, he was so desperate to see Krishna that he was now crying. He was now crying, and he was constantly, he was thinking about the Lord, and these tears were coming out. And they were coming out like Mother Ganges. Mother Ganges was flowing from his eyes, just like from his lotus feet, Ganges is flowing. Like that, the tears were flowing like Ganges. And this we see in one of the bhajans that Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written. Esho Nanda Kumar, Nanda Kumar, Esho Nanda Kumar, Nanda Kumar, Habe Prema Pradeepe, Arati Tomar, Abe Prema Pradeepe, Arati Tomar. Nayana Jamuna Hare Charayani Bar, Nayana Jamuna Jarayani Bar, Tomara Virahe Giridhari. Nayana Jamune Jarayani Bar. The waters of the Yamuna river, though here it is being mentioned as Ganga, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, like the rivers of Jamuna, they cascade incessantly from my eyes. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, from my eyes, Jamuna is flowing. From your eyes, Lord, Ganga is flowing. Why is it flowing? Because I'm not getting your association. Tomara virahe giridhari. So wonderfully he's saying, whom? I am not calling you as Achyuta. I'm not calling you as Keshava. I'm not calling you as Govinda. I'm calling you as Giridhari. Why is Giridhari? Because there also the water is flowing from the top. You are holding the Govardhan hill and water is flowing everywhere. Seems like the same water is flowing like Jamuna from my eyes. Tomara virahe Giridhari. Mama mana mandire rahanishi dina Krishna Murari. Shri Krishna Murari. Please, please stay in the temple of my heart, both day and night. So he's longing for association. The whole song is about association. Oh Krishna, please stay in my heart. Oh delighter of the heart, please stay in my heart. Oh enchanter of the heart, please stay in my heart. And what should I spend my time with? Bandhana gane tava bajuk jivana. Bandhana gane tava bajuk jivana. I should pass my life absorbed only in the songs of your praise. I should not listen to anything else. I want to just spend my time praising you always 24/7. Bandhana gane tava bajuk jivana. Krishna Murari. Shri Krishna Murari, Mama Mana Mandire. Please abide. Oh Lord, please abide in the temple of my heart. Don't leave me. Always stay in the heart. And this is what he is saying. And this is called as Utpreksha, giving a simile. In this verse, tears of love that flowed from the Lord's eyes are compared to the flow of Ganges, which emanates from his lotus feet. And this is very important for us to understand that the Lord, this is not exaggeration. This is actually the truth. In the Krishna book, in chapter number 65, Srila Prabhupada gives a very nice statement. He says that when the gopis were talking in this way, their feelings of Krishna became more and more intense. And they were experiencing Krishna's smiling, Krishna's words of love, Krishna's attractive features, Krishna's characteristics, Krishna's embraces. And by the force of their ecstatic feelings, it appeared to them that Krishna was personally present and dancing before them. And because of their sweet remembrance of Krishna, the same thing what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, Banduk Gane Tava Bajuk Jivana. Seeing, remembering this sweet remembrance of Krishna, they could not check their tears. And they cried without consideration. They cried without consideration. Srila Prabhupada mentions in the Krishna book. To cry without consideration. This is the mission of our life. This is our goal of life. And Krishna book, again, chapter 47, Srila Prabhupada mentions, Lord Caitanya is the one who taught the people in general the method of Vipralamba Seva, which is the method of rendering service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the feeling of separation. 6 Goswamis, they also taught worship of Krishna in the feeling of the gopis in separation. The prayers composed by Srinivas Acharya about the Goswamis explain these matters very clearly. Srinivas Acharya said that the gopis were always absorbed in the ocean of transcendental feelings in the mood of the gopis. When they lived in Vrindavan, they were searching for Krishna, crying, "Where are you, Krishna? Where are you, Krishna? Oh gopis, where are you? Where are you, Srimati Radharani?" But they never said, "We have now seen Radha and Krishna." So here Srila Prabhupada is saying, never was a moment that they said, "I want to see, I have seen you, Radha and Krishna. I've seen you, I've seen you, I've seen you." This never happened. They were always asking, "Where are you? Where are you? Where are you?" And by doing this, what did they do? Srila Prabhupada says, they never said, "We have now seen Radha and Krishna, and therefore our mission is fulfilled." They never said, by seeing Radha and Krishna, their mission is fulfilled. This they have never spoken. The mission remained always unfulfilled. This is what Srila Prabhupada is writing in Krishna book, chapter 47. The mission remained always unfulfilled. They never met Radha and Krishna. And this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, is the mission impossible is the highest mission. The highest mission is to always ensure that the mission is unfulfilled and we are crying for Krishna. And my dear devotees, the last verse for today is mentioning about this mission impossible. What did the Lord do? Kota Krishna, Matra Prabhu Bhale, Arakeha Kata Nahi Paya Jin Saile. The only words the Lord spoke were, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Even on inquiry, there was no reply. So the mission was unfulfilled. This is the highest mission of Vipralamba Seva. That even if he inquired anything other than Krishna from the Lord, who was overwhelmed with the feelings of separation of Krishna. Our goal, walking in the footsteps of Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, in the footsteps of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if somebody asks, how will you fulfill your mission? The answer should be, when we fail in our mission to see Radha and Krishna and have Nayane, Jamune, Anibhar, that when we have tears of Yamuna, like tears flowing from our eyes, and our mission is constantly unfulfilled, that is success. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Chaitanya Bhagavat ki jai. Yadastras kalitam kinchit vidhvam satpurayantu tat. Yadastras saushtubam kinchit tadgurur eva menahi. My dear devotees, you are all Panditas. If there were any mistakes which are truly mine, please correct them by pointing it out and by giving your valuable feedback and correcting them for the benefit of all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. Apologies for those mistakes which are truly mine. And if you found something nice which you heard today, all glories go to all the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, my Guru Maharaj, and all of you, because of whose inspiration I could speak today some words. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. If there are any questions, comments, critiques, feedbacks, mistakes, more than happy to hear them. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. What a wonderful class as usual. So very nicely you started off from the association of the devotees, starting from Mahabharata, then moving on to Ramayana. Then again, you told about Bhagavad Gita, about Arjuna is associating with Lord Krishna. And then you started from the verses of today, 193. What is the value of association and why we should, and how we are dependent on Krishna, and why we have to depend on Krishna. So all those things are really very nice, Prabhuji. And the water Ganges. And at last you told the mission is remained unfulfilled when we feel the separation to see Radha and Krishna. So that's really very wonderful, Prabhuji. So dear devotees, if any questions, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandvat Pranams.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandvat Pranams.
Very, very wonderful, beautiful session, Prabhu. Really like the last point, much more to reflect upon, that this mission is always impossible and is always unfulfilled. That's so wonderful. Yes. Never be happy that I've seen Radha and Krishna, rather always in the mood of separation, in the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nice session, Prabhu. Nice on association too. One thing, like the devotees in the Navadvip, they told that we are dependent upon you, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So now you lead us into Kirtan. Is there any specific reason, or they knew that Kirtan is the Yuga Dharma? Why they specifically asked for Kirtan and not about anything else?
So one of my limited understanding is, I do not have full understanding on this matter. My limited understanding is, before this, they all they felt jubilation in their hearts. And that is something that they have never felt before like this. So sometimes when you get jubilation in the heart because of someone, and you know only that person can stir up such an emotion, then you are completely dependent upon that entity or that Lord, that to give us the same feeling. It's very natural to say that. For example, if you walk into a house and only one Mataji can prepare that kheer in a very nice way, then you will always say, Mataji, we are dependent upon you because only you can make such a kheer. So similarly, here I feel that all the devotees are saying to stir up the same kind of emotions which we got stirred up today after listening to the kirtans, or with your association. We have not felt it anywhere else. So we are completely dependent upon you to give us that feeling of jubilation. So we are dependent upon you. So this is one way of natural reciprocation that happens, that I understood that the joy is coming from you. So we are dependent upon you to give us again a repeat of such a joy. That's number one. Number two, they know that he is the Supreme Lord, and to get that mercy from the Lord, it is again costless. So we are dependent upon you. So we are feeling blessed and we are dependent upon you, whether you will give us association or not. We can be only beggars. We can't be choosers. So we need your association. We are dependent upon you. You gave us that feeling. I do not know anybody else who can give. So we are dependent upon you. And your mercy, we are dependent upon you because you are causeless. Your mercy is causeless. So that is also dependent upon you. This is how I understand, Mataji.
Wonderful answer. And that solves my purpose of asking this question, that we are also dependent on you, on your causeless mercy,
No.
that you come and give us your association in form of your beautiful session. This is the answer I was expecting, Prabhu, and you answered it. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Now I am dependent upon you to put me in the spot. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
All glories
Krishna.
to Prabhupada, none to me.
Glories
Jai
to you,
Shri
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna.
Yeah.
Very well. That's really wonderful, Kirtida Mataji. Thank you so much. Yes, we are always dependent on you, Prabhuji, for giving such a wonderful association and wonderful classes. I really liked we are doing services just to make us suitable candidates to get the mercy of the Lord. So that point I really like very much, Prabhuji, from today's class. So devotees, any other questions?
Thank you so much. A very nice class, and I really liked about crying without consideration. Honestly, I had never paid an attention to that word this past far. But when you said it 3 times, I'm like, okay, consideration. Oh yeah. Crying without consideration. Very beautiful, Prabhu. Very, very nice. Thank you. And as Kirtida Mataji said, it was very, very nicely done, Prabhu. Very beautiful class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. That consideration word is it has to be considered very seriously, because the minute it's so subtle. The minute the tears start forming at the corner of our eyes due to genuine emotion or feeling of love towards the Lord, it forms at the corner of the eyes. But the distance when it travels from the corner of our eye to the bottom half of our cheeks, we immediately get very acquainted and think, oh, now I am crying. How great am I?
Oh.
It takes only this distance for the pride to set in.
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
But at that moment, if we think, oh Lord, you are so merciful that you made this tear to appear in a stone-like heart of mine. When we think like that, at that moment, that tear would have reached or hit the floor, because then the tears will form more. That is without consideration.
Beautiful.
Don't consider our pride.
Beautiful. Thank you, bro.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Very nice, Prabhuji. What a wonderful answer for that. Very nice. Furthermore explanation. But thank you so much, Mataji, for saying that. I think Yeshomati Mataji's... Okay, everyone is glorifying your class, Prabhuji. So
Thank you.
saying
All
that
glories to Prabhupada.
very nice, and everyone is liking the points which you have told.
Vinita Mataji has a question.
Yeah,
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavad
Hare
Pranam,
Krishna,
all glories to
Prabhupada.
Srila Prabhupada. And thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such a beautiful class. I really like your wonderful class always. So, Prabhu, you're talking about tears. So sometimes tears is out of love for Krishna, sometimes out of the problems that we are facing in our life, either it is material or spiritual. So how should be our mood like we are not crying for Krishna, but we are crying for our material? Or how can we understand this kind of mood, Prabhuji?
Very nice question, Mataji. If you see a rich man on the street and a very poor man who doesn't have even 1 penny in his pocket, and both of them are hungry, you obviously know the rich man is hungry, but his hunger will not produce tears because he is mildly hungry. He's hungry. He's very hungry, but he's a rich man. He knows that food is within his might. So he might cry, but with a complete understanding that, yeah, it will get solved. But a poor man who is akinchana, who is materially impoverished, like how Kunti Maharani says, is crying for one morsel of food, his tears have much more value. So the tears which we have for certain material afflictions are like the tears of the rich man. And the tears genuinely calling out for Krishna, for just to serve him, thanking him for his costless mercy, are like the tears of the materially impoverished. Namo akinchana vrittaya. Krishna is the property of those who are materially impoverished. So that is how I would like to answer, Mataji.
Wow, Prabhuji, very, very beautiful example, Prabhuji. Very nicely we can we can connect to that example, how silly we are for crying for the material desires. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very grateful to you.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So, devotees, any other questions? Okay. So, if no more questions, we can end the call here. Hare Krishna. So, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for giving us your valuable time and association. It was very, certainly very wonderful class, and we need your association again in future also. We'll pay our obeisances to Prabhuji. Vancha kalpatrupasya kripa sindhu pe vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti vaishnav vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His grace Haridas Varya Prabhuji ki jai. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Pranam Prabhuji.
Pranam.
Pranam.
Thank you, dear devotees. We'll be ending the call and we'll catch up with you all tomorrow again with